Good morning, coaches. Good morning. Happy Monday. I think the first day of spring, is it in the States? The clocks have changed. So happy Monday. It is Sanae Floyd here, business breakthrough coach and sales mentor. And I have just had a week off. So I've been away for a week and I've come back. And yesterday I was just really blissed out and just not in the mood to plan my schedule for the week. So I haven't done it yet. But I wanted to come in here anyway this morning, and I was thinking, what can I talk about? That's without any planning. What is something that I could talk about without any sort of challenge, just something I love to talk about? And so one of my favorite topics of discussion, and actually the part of the work that I find the most exciting, I would say, when the work that I get to do with my clients, is the topic of expanding consciousness and breaking through paradigms and programs that are inherently limiting. And so I want to talk about increasing your income without pushing, striving, working harder, risking burnout. And so, we don't know what we don't know, right? And we have habitual beliefs that until they are challenged, we will run along these programs quite happily, because our external reality will continue to reinforce these internal habitual belief patterns, these internal programs. And in relation to income, one of our most prolific paradigms that prolong the struggle, that keep us stuck, is that which says, in order to earn more, I have to do more. And this will really keep you stuck, because as a saboteur, the belief that you have to work hard in order to increase your income, or you have to work harder for longer, it's compelling. We've been rewarded for this behavior in the past. It probably got you to this point. It got you this far. I know for me, it was always something that I completely believed in, and it ran my life for so long. This belief that in order to create more and achieve more, I have to work harder, I have to work longer. But this is a saboteur. It's very compelling as a saboteur, like I said, because it's quite a prolific belief. This behavior was rewarded, but also it's a strong saboteur that will keep us stuck, because the thought of having to do more carries the risk of burnout. It carries with it the assumption that we'll be spending less time with our loved ones. So even the idea of working hard will self-sabotage working hard because of that subconscious deep-seated fear. So I hope that makes sense. So it's like a double-edged saboteur, if you like. So if you are frustrated because you keep butting up against the same results year on year in your business, and you can't seem to grow beyond a certain level, no matter what strategy you apply, then more than likely it's not the doing that is the problem. What is required is an internal upgrade. So let's just put some context in this. Maybe you'll have had experiences of this, I have no doubt, that you have been taking massive action, you've experienced some growth, enjoying some new opportunities that have been showing up, but suddenly and without warning, you hit a wall. That wall could manifest as self-sabotage. You stop taking action for some reason, you can't seem to get yourself back onto the horse, or fear may rear its head at a whole new level, or you get sick. These are forms of sabotage that could show up. Or that wall that you hit could manifest as an external event. It shows up, could be something that like an argument with a spouse, or discovery calls dry up unexpectedly, or you receive a large unexpected bill. These things are external events that could really throw you under the proverbial bus, so to speak. So the important thing here is to be ever present, really aware, and really watchful when you start to feel things are slowing down, or you feel like you're hitting that wall. Feels like things are seemingly going wrong. So what is really happening is that your action taking and in your growing that you've been doing, you've hit the limits of your paradigm. So I always describe it as being like a parameter fence around a paddock. So imagine you're in your paddock. It is familiar and safe, and you're ready for massive growth. So the boundaries of your paddock are protected by a perimeter fence. And now imagine that that perimeter fence has an electric current running through it. So what that perimeter fence represents really are the limits of your self-identity. This is your program, your conditioning, your paradigm. So as you're growing, you're in your paddock, as you're growing, taking massive action, trying new things, raising your rates, increasing your income, you're expanding. And sure enough, as you expand within your paddock, you butt up against that perimeter fence, not parameter, the perimeter fence, which is the parameter of your self-identity. It's like the boundary wall. And as you expand, you hit that perimeter fence, you experience a jolt, an electric shock. It's very subtle, but it's enough to jolt your nervous system awake and jolt yourself into a bit of a hypervigilant state. Because what your nervous system, the message your nervous system receives is danger. It's like a warning bell. And so this is when you unwittingly withdraw, you retract, you retreat, you bring yourself back into safety. So what I want to just briefly talk about today is, so what do you do about it? Because if you keep butting up against that perimeter fence and you keep self-sabotaging, pulling back, then you're always going to be in this yo-yo year on year. Results are never going to change. And that's when that frustration reaches kind of near breaking point. So you want to be able to expand and do so gracefully, and as you do so, allow that perimeter fence to expand with you so that it's constantly moving outwards. This is when you're expanding your consciousness, because ultimately your consciousness is the collection of your beliefs, your self-identity, your programming, your conditioning. So as you're expanding that, you're raising your awareness, you're raising your consciousness above the current limit. So the idea here is to remain really watchful, present, and in a state of constant self-awareness, so you can begin to recognize your patterns of self-sabotage and disidentify from them. So, I always talk about kind of creating some space between you as the watcher and what is going on internally, so that the charge that feels like fear or anxiety or whatever the charge is internally in your body, the somatic experience, you can separate yourself from that and just watch it happening in your body. You can do the same with the thought process, and these two are intrinsically linked. The thoughts are perpetuating the feeling that perpetuate the thought, and round the loop you go. If you identify with the voice in your head and the feeling in your body, then you've kind of lost spiritual consciousness. You've got sucked in, and it becomes real for you. And that's when you start, that's when the suffering is, the struggle is. But when you can pull back and put some space between you and your thoughts and the feelings in your body, then you can begin to see them for what they are. It's just old stuff. It's repetitive thought patterns. It's past stuff. There's a great quote that my friend introduced me to some time ago that I just think is fabulous. And it's simply this: if you are hysterical, it's historical. So that sense of hysteria in your body, that fear, that charge, it's just past stuff, old stuff being kicked up. So it's about seeing them for what they are, and also embracing it as a reflection of where you need to grow, where healing has to happen. And where we go wrong is we resist the resistance, we fight back, we believe our own bullshit. And so that's where all the struggle is. So it's about really creating that distance and that space. And I wrote yesterday about some increased awareness that I've had around how there is a real perfection and order to life. And that perfection and order is beautifully orchestrated. And there is this intelligence beyond our mental grasp that we have access to. But the reason we don't feel like we have access to it is because we constantly get in our own way. And so just very quickly, I want to talk to you about kind of four disciplines, I suppose I want to call them, or four principles that will help you to start to create that distance, but also to change, to raise your consciousness so that you can increase your income, you can increase your opportunities, you can grow beyond your present paradigm without that painful yo-yoing and without all the kind of the resistance and the anxiety that often accompanies growth. So the first thing I would say is, in order to get out of your own way, there has to be a level of acceptance of where you are right now. So, you know, it is what it is, and I am where I am, and I accept that. Stop arguing with what is. What is. You know, you can't argue. It's already in your experience. You can't fight it. So it's about accepting this is the way it is, and I accept it. The other thing about getting out of your own way is coming from a place of non-judgment to what is. So the reason we get so riled up and we forget about this intelligence that is supporting us, and we lose sight of the perfection and the order of life, is that we label situations and we judge things as being either good or bad. Whereas what you tend to find, and I'm sure you've had this experience, is that something that felt bad in the moment, when you look with hindsight at that same experience, you realize, oh my God, it was all perfectly orchestrated to help me to get to this point. It was all part of the grand plan. It felt bad at the time, but because you were judging it for being bad. But it's just a stepping stone. It's part of the order of things. Maybe something is leaving you, moving out of your experience to make way for something bigger and greater. So it's about coming from a place of non-judgment. The third piece is, like I said, not to resist the resistance. So this is about creating that sense of space and surrendering to the present moment. Now, what does that mean? Well, it literally means just narrowing your focus. Things could be horrendous for you right now. I don't know. But if you can narrow your focus and you narrow your attention to what is going on inside of you, that negative emotion, and simply observe it whilst relaxing your body, whilst relaxing the muscles around the charge, that is your surrendering. That's letting go. And then the fourth factor is alignment. So, you know, if you've been watching anything I put out there, you know, I talk about alignment all the time. So you can cooperate and contribute to this intelligence. You can pave your way by following your bliss, by being in alignment. And that means just going with the flow, but doing what feels good to you. You know, if in those moments where you feel you want to take massive action, then take massive action. But in those moments where you don't feel inspired, then allow yourself to rest and recharge. And I know over the past few months, I've definitely been kind of moving more towards just following my bliss. And the paradox of that is that I've been more productive. I've felt more vitality. I've been more consistent because I've been following my bliss. And in that aligned state of being, whatever you are doing then becomes more fun. And the results then take care of themselves. And so this is where kind of these major shifts and this raising in consciousness starts to happen. When you are following your bliss, when you're in that alignment state, that's your state, your level of consciousness will change. And when your level of consciousness changes, that's when you start to attract in more of the good stuff. You become a magnet to more of what you desire. And that's when you can start expanding beyond that perimeter fence with more ease and grace. So, guys, I hope you found this helpful. Like I said, it was just a download. I thought, what can I talk about today that I love to talk about? And this was the download. So just it's really about being able to challenge your beliefs, challenge your own habitual patterns of thought. And when you have those, the feeling, the charge, the anxiety, the worry, or the fear thoughts, to create that space, disidentify from them, so that you know that this isn't me, this isn't my higher self, this is just old stuff that I need to heal through and let go. Okay then, guys, so thank you so much for watching. As always, if you have questions, comments, please put them below. I love to hear from you, and I shall speak to you all again soon. Okay, bye for now.